Hi, I'm Shelby. I make content for the morbid and the morbidly curious, and today we're gonna talk about Terrifier 3. I've got art back there. I have my tiny little hat. I'm ready to talk about it. So I saw this movie in theaters about 2 weeks ago, and let me tell you, it hits so different in the theater. It was really loud. There was nowhere to look. I didn't throw up, but I did get a little nauseous. Now, whether that's because of the gore or because of the extreme amount of caffeine that I had to take in order to get to the movies at 10:30 p.m. is anybody's guess, but either way, I got nauseous. And so since I saw this movie about 2 weeks ago, I'm gonna try my best to piece the plot together, but I've only seen it once, so bear with me if I get things wrong. Don't yell at me. I'm just a girl. This is less of a review, more of a discussion. So Terrifier 2 opened up right where the events of the first movie left off. This one's not like that. This one has an opening sequence that I reckon has been very controversial, and we'll get to that. We'll get to that later. I'm not gonna forget it, don't worry. So our opening sequence starts on a couple in bed, and their daughter comes in, and she can't be more than like 6 years old. And she's like, "Mom, Dad, I heard footsteps on the roof." Mom and Dad are like, "Go back to sleep. What's wrong with you?" So she creeps down the stairs like a little Cindy Lou Who, and it's none other than Arthur. And he's horrifying, so she bolts. Art goes upstairs into the brother's room, and we don't see anything, but we hear just he's just wailing on this little boy with an axe. Yeah, it's an axe murder. Whole family axe murder, and that's scene one. So he goes, "Brother," then he goes into the parents' room, whacks the dad's head off, which, you know, RIP, the dad kind of sucked. So Mom bolts up, sprints to the brother's room. Too late. Aftermath. Just blood and guts all over the room. She's running to the front door, but then Arthur hits her with that Lizzie Borden, just 40 whacks right to Mom. And then Arthur eats, you know, the milk and cookies that have been left out. For the real Santa, and hears a little sound in the cabinet and looks, and it's the little girl, and he gives her that little Art the Clown wave, and then boom, credits, we're here. A truly wild opening sequence. I was so excited. I was like, oh, we're raising the bar. So now, boom, we're back in time. 5 years, and now we are where the last movie ended. So we're back in the Terrifier with the police, and they're like, there's a dead body in a clown suit without a head. And then Art's body rises up, rips the head off of one of these cops, puts it on, and then rides the subway. Our man is not above taking public transportation, and we love him for that. So obviously we gotta go get our head. And we know where the head is. We know that Victoria Hayes, in the mental hospital, has given birth to Arthur's head. So we gotta go to the mental hospital. And we gotta murder Chris Jericho. And Art's head has to eat the nurse. And then Art slaps his head back on his body, and then he and Victoria ride the subway. And then there's this super fun bit where a guy in an Art the Clown costume gets on the subway, and he's like, "Whoa, your costumes are so much better than mine. Can I take a picture?" And that must have been an off-screen kill, because we don't see that guy die, but we definitely see Victoria wearing the costume. Where are Art and Victoria taking the subway to? A house. I'm not really sure about the lore behind this house, but they go into the attic and they take a little nappy nap. So Victoria slices her wrists up in the bathroom, takes a little nap. Art walks over to a rocking chair and kind of stares out the window and takes a nap. It's a clear homage to Black Christmas, which I love. There were a lot of little fun Easter eggs for other movies in this, and I'll try to remember the ones that I can remember, but like, just watch the movie. Or don't. But watch a better spoiler review. And now we gotta check back in with some of our faves from the last movies. So we're gonna catch up with Sienna, and we're gonna catch up with Jonathan. So Sienna's getting out of her rehabilitation center. We love a queen who takes care of herself, and her uncle picks her up. So we go home with the uncle and we meet some more family members. So we got Sienna's aunt, and we got Sienna's little cousin named Gabby. And let me tell you, the second Gabby came on screen, I was like, oh, this is very bad news for Jonathan now that we have like another kid sidekick. But speaking of Jonathan, he's in college. We love a king that's educated. And we meet Jonathan's roommate. His name is Cole. He's kind of your stereotypical frat guy, but he's also giving a lot of golden retriever energy. And like, for me, I liked Cole. And I liked Cole's arc from kind of when he showed up to like when he disappeared from the movie. You can't say beginning to end when it's a Terrifier movie. Like, no one makes it to the end. We know this. And then we meet Cole's situationship, just this bitch named Mia. She has a true crime podcast, and she really wants to have Sienna as a guest because people would really love to know what it's like to be that close to a serial killer, where you can feel his breath. Like, bitch! We know she's getting ripped apart, and like, we're excited for it. And so from there, this movie is basically just Art the Clown doing shenanigans and Sienna going crazy. I'm sorry about that. Like, my microphone isn't working, but I used the audio from this phone for my last video, and it wasn't too big of a problem, so bear with me. So now that we've caught back up with our characters from the last movie, it's time for Arthur and Victoria to wake up from their little nappy nap. So we got some construction workers, or like surveyors, or I don't know, guys in vests and hard hats are in this house. And one of them is like, oh, a bunch of kids died in this house. And then he's like, JK, but like, is he? Are we gonna find out that 12 kids actually died in this house? I don't know, stay tuned. But Arthur and Victoria wake up and just murder these guys, and like one of them is crazy. One of them, they're going above and beyond with the deaths in this one. I'll tell you what, because Art takes a box cutter and just like rips off the whole guy's face. It was crazy. So the first shenanigan that I can recall is Art goes into a bar. A clown walks into a bar, and there's a mall Santa. Okay. There's a mall Santa, there's another guy, there's the bartender. Not a hoppin' night at this bar. Maybe it's a Tuesday. I don't know. But Art walks in, and he has like a Buddy the Elf level reaction to meeting Santa Claus. David Howard Thornton is so good at what he does. He is such a good Art. He's such a good clown. And so he just like chills with Santa for a while, and he takes shots with Santa, and he sits on Santa's lap, and he pees on Santa's lap. Hey, it's editing me. I forgot to mention that Arthur whips out his trusty gun and shoots the other guys in the bar. And then he ties Santa down and blasts him with liquid nitrogen and a fire extinguisher, which he already experimented on rats with, so we know it works. Just the old spray and smash. And he's already wearing the Santa suit, but I'm looking and I'm like, it needs a beard. And kind of right as I have this thought, he rips the beard off of Santa's face and just sticks it to himself. So now that Arthur is Santa, where is a Santa gonna go during Christmas time? The mall. So Arthur goes to the mall, he sits down in the Santa station, he starts giving presents to kids, and like all the parents and like the mall staff are kind of looking around like, that's not Bill. That's not our guy. And then one kid runs to unwrap a present, and then there's a bomb in the box. Our boy blows up a mall and like a bunch of kids. So now we'll talk about the controversy. So I guess a lot of people were upset that Art's going after children. And I know a lot of people didn't enter this fandom until the first feature film. So I'm gonna afford some grace to those people. But like two of the earliest victims that we have ever seen Art have were two kids in All Hallows Eve. So the guy's not new to like slicing and dicing children. The good news is that we never actually see it. We just hear it and like see the aftermath. So that's good. But before all the kids blow up, who else is at the mall? It's Sienna and Gabby. And Sienna's been having a rough go. Sienna's been having like her little Harry Potter senses tingling. She hallucinated Brooke from the last movie at the table earlier. She's having a rough go. So she's shopping, and the Clown Cafe song comes up on the intercom. And she looks out the door, and she just sees like Art in the Santa suit, and she's like, we gotta bounce. And good thing she does, because she sees that news report later and loses her mind. She's like, okay, he's back. Nobody believes me. That's okay. I can take care of business myself. She goes back to the Terrifier. She digs up the magical sword from the second movie, she wraps it up, she puts it behind the tree. She's gonna give it to Gabby. That's the plan. The plan is for her to give it to Gabby. So at this point, we got like 3 different plots happening. We have the A plot, which is Sienna just trying to take care of business and figure shit out. We got the B plot, which is just Arthur and Victoria doing shenanigans. And then we have the C plot, which is Jonathan just trying to get his life together. And so now the B plot and the C plot are gonna come together a little bit. Art goes to the dorms, and Mia and Cole are banging out in the shower. a cardinal mistake in a horror movie, but then again, how are you to know that you're even in a horror movie in the first place? And this is probably the kill that a lot of people are gonna label as the worst one in the movie. And let me just say, it's pretty crazy. There's one coming later that I thought was crazier, but this one is pretty crazy. Chainsaw Massacre. Slices Mia apart with the chainsaw, and then when Cole tries to get away, he saws him in half, hot dog style, with a chainsaw. Which is actually really, really brilliant because a lot of people were coming at the first movie for being sexist, for doing it to a woman, so what are we gonna do? We're gonna do it to a man. So back to the A-plot. Ever since the mall thing happened, Sienna has just been losing it. She knows he's back. She's having her hallucinations. She's having weird dreams. She knows that Jonathan is not safe in the dorm right now, and we know that Jonathan's not safe in the dorm right now because he's in the dorm right now. So Sienna calls Jonathan. Jonathan's like, okay, I'll come by. But first I'm gonna have an angsty moment where I rip apart my whole entire dorm room and snuggle with a pillow for a little bit. The uncle goes to pick up Jonathan, and Jonathan, like, so robotically into the phone is like, yeah, I'll be out soon. And we know from the second movie that that's not Jonathan's voice. That is Victoria Hayes doing a Jonathan impression. And now we're about to wrap this up. We're about to kind of get into the final scene of the movie. So we got Sienna having a nightmare. She wakes up from the nightmare. She hears her aunt and uncle talking. And they're like, why don't we just send Sienna back to the rehab center? Like, she's obviously losing her mind. And Sienna's like kind of creeping downstairs to catch the conversation. And then they're like, what if we just like kill Sienna? And the second that Sienna hits the kitchen, she sees that it is just Victoria Hayes doing an aunt and uncle impression, and she looks over and yeah, the uncle was murdered off screen. He's nailed to the wall. It says ho 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 in his blood. His head's on the tree. It's a disaster. Art and Sienna start duking it out. He throws her through a table. He hits her in the head, and then she wakes up tied to a chair. And we know from the first movie that being duct taped to a chair is very bad. You're about to like watch some heinous shit. So she comes to, she's face to face with her aunt, who is also duct taped to a chair. And in between them, on the coffee table, is a crudely wrapped gift wrapped in newspaper, covered in blood. Whose body parts are in there? And so the aunt's freaking out. She's like, where's Gabby? Like, where's my kid? And Art comes over and he takes the newspaper off the gift, and it's just a skull that has been eaten by rats. And Victoria's like, there she is. And the aunt's like, there's no way. And Victoria's like, what, do you not recognize your own flesh and blood? And now we're gonna get the kill that like I thought was the worst. So picture it. The aunt in the chair is like, avenge us, Sienna. Kill them. And then Art the Clown takes this plastic tube and sticks it in her throat, and then whacks it with a hammer further down her throat, and then scoops up some rats from the cage with the head in it, puts them in the tube, stay with me here, takes a blowtorch, blows the rats down the tube, and then slits the ant's throat, and the still alive rats come out. That was it. That was the worst one for me. That was, and like so sad too, like R.I.P. Gabby, except, oh wait, Gabby's still alive. Victoria's like, that's not her, bitch. Victoria picks up the skull, puts it on the mantle, and then puts Jonathan's glasses on the skull. No, R.I.P. Jonathan. And then brings out Gabby. And of course Gabby's losing it, like we got dead parents everywhere. Art's got like a knife up to Gabby's throat, and Sienna's like, no! And then Gabby's like, wait! Sienna never got to open my Christmas present for her. And Victoria's like, well that's just not fair. Which one is it? And Gabby's like, it's the one behind the tree. And if we recall, that's actually Sienna's present to Gabby, and we know that it's the magical sword, so we're like, let's fucking do it. And Victoria's like, this is wrapped like shit. Because here's something we learned about Gabby. Gabby's a snoop. Gabby will read your diary, Gabby will find Christmas presents under the floorboards, and Gabby will unwrap and then rewrap her own Christmas presents. So Arthur comes, smashes Sienna's hands open, just to make it harder on her to open this gift. But lest we forget, this sword has magical healing properties. We remember that from the second movie. Sienna opens the sword, her hands heal up immediately, and she just starts going to town. Just stab, stab, slice, slice. Victoria's head gone, disintegrating into the floor. She stabs Art right through the stomach, except, oh wait, a portal to hell opens in the living room and starts swallowing up Gabby. So now Sienna's like, damn, and like the demon has already like presumably left Art the Clown's body, I think. Do I know this for sure? No, but that's the vibe I get. And Gabby's like just hanging there, like, please, I don't want to go to hell right now. And Sienna, God, tells her to grab the handle of the sword, so she's holding the blade. Like, she's so cool. She's bad as hell. But unfortunately, Gabby slips down to the depths of hell. And Sienna's like, I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna find you, Gabby. She turns around, Arthur's gone. Classic Arthur move. And where is he? He's getting on a bus. Because he is not above public transportation. And there's a lady on the bus reading The Ninth Circle, another fun Easter egg, because that was the first short film that Art the Clown was ever in. And the bus just takes off. Oh, we lost Arthur. Oh boy, come back. Okay, he's back. So we're set up for a fourth movie. We're going to the pits of hell to get Gabby. A lot of people are speculating that Jonathan's not actually dead because we didn't see him die on screen. I think he is dead, but I think he's coming back as Art's new sidekick, which is gonna be so interesting, kind of watching Sienna like reel with that. We also get some fun lore drops in this movie. So, okay, stay with me here. There is a demon that latches on to an evil person and then possesses a victim to like assist the clown. And so Art was originally just a serial killer, but now he's like a supernatural demonic entity. Did I get it right? Is that right? But I loved this. I love Christmas horror so much, and I'm so glad that I can put this on that list. You know, fa la 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 la. I think this is my favorite one because it wasn't really long, but it still had some plot and some story. And this one also like really leaned into the comedy, which I appreciate. Like the fact that this bitch is funny, that's my favorite thing about it. And of course, like props to Damien, and props to David, and props to Lauren, and props to Elliot, and props to the whole cast. Props to Chris Jericho. Everyone did a good job. This was like grittier than the last movie, but like more plot forward than the first movie. And I just love that blend. I just thought this was so good, and I can't wait to watch it again this Christmas. How did you feel? Did you like it? Is it your favorite? Is it your least favorite? Do you want him to just murder people, or are you interested in watching this like demon storyline continue? Let me know. I'll see you at some point later for sure.